Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. In this third part, we're going to talk about the essential information that a research article usually presents on its first page. This is a research article, and as you probably know, the first page of any academic paper is designed to give the reader a clear overview of the key elements of the study. The very first thing that catches our attention is the title. A title is usually a short phrase that introduces the main topic of the work, essentially a very condensed summary of the entire study. Authors use different styles when choosing a title, and we'll cover those techniques in detail in our advanced academic writing sessions. For now, I'll just mention them briefly, since the title is the first thing we encounter in any article. Titles generally fall into three common categories: question-based, descriptive, and statement-based. A question-based title presents a question, and the reader understands that the article aims to answer it. For example, can modern technologies help reduce pollution? A descriptive title defines the scope and boundaries of the work. For example, analyzing the impact of climate change on agriculture. A statement-based title presents the main finding as a factual statement. For example, sodium increases blood pressure. There are other categories as well, such as analytical titles, like advantages and disadvantages of using renewable resources. Or multi-part titles, such as social and economic impacts of. Sometimes authors combine styles. For example, a question combined with an analytical structure: can modern technologies help reduce pollution? Advantages and disadvantages. On the first page of a research article, one of the most important elements is the DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier. This is a unique identifier, similar to a national ID number for the article. It doesn't replace the title, but it serves as a permanent and exclusive digital reference. A DOI has two parts: a prefix and a suffix. The prefix usually begins with the number 10, assigned by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. This indicates that the identifier follows a global standard. After the 10, you'll see another number, which represents the publisher code. Then you'll see a short abbreviation of the journal's name, followed by another number that serves as the specific identifier for that particular article. In some cases, the publication year is also included at the end. In addition to the DOI, the journal itself has a digital identifier called the ISSN, which stands for International Standard Serial Number. This is an 8-digit code used for periodicals. Well-known journals like Nature have separate ISSN codes for their print version, online version, and other formats. An ISSN consists of 7 main digits plus 1 check digit used for validation. Another important section on the first page is the list of authors and their affiliations. Each author is associated with a university, department, or scientific institution. These affiliations are usually marked with numbers. For example, author number 1 might be affiliated with the Department of Zoology at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada. This information helps us understand the academic background and credibility of each author. There's also another identifier called the ISBN, but this one is for books, not articles. ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number, and it's a 10 to 13-digit code assigned to books. For example, the book The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins has its own unique ISBN. You'll usually find this code on the first pages of a book. On the first page of an article, you'll also find a section called Correspondence. This identifies the author responsible for communicating with the journal. Their email address is usually listed here. Sometimes, instead of a separate section, a small star symbol appears next to the corresponding author's name. Another important part is the funding information section. This lists the organizations, universities, or institutions that financially supported the research. Research funding is often referred to as a grant, and each grant has an award number. This is especially important in graduate-level research, and we'll explore it in detail in future sessions. One of the most critical pieces of information on the first page is the set of submission, revision, and acceptance dates. The received date shows when the article was first submitted. If revisions were required, the revised date appears, and the accepted date indicates when the article was approved for publication. This timeline is very useful. For example, if someone needs a fast publication for immigration or academic purposes, these dates reveal how long the journal typically takes to publish a paper. Journals publish content periodically, and each publication cycle is called a volume. Each volume may contain several issues. On the first page, you'll usually see the publication year, the volume number, and the page range. For example, Volume 81, published in 2021, pages 189 to 206. Some articles also include a 16-digit code called ORCID. This is a unique researcher identifier, essentially a scientific ID number. Sometimes it appears as a green clickable link that takes you directly to the author's ORCID profile. We'll cover how to register for an ORCID and how to use it in future sessions. In general, about 95% of research articles present the same core information on their first page: the title, authors, affiliations, DOI, ISSN, corresponding author, submission and acceptance dates, volume and issue numbers, funding information, and ORCID. The layout may vary, but the structure is almost always the same. I hope this content was helpful for you. If you found it useful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave a comment, especially if you notice anything in the presentation or the content that could be improved. Your feedback is extremely valuable to us. Wishing you all the best.